Now joining us in the Freak Nation. Good to get him in here. We've been chasing him for, at least the last couple of weeks. You may know them as big-time monster truck pilots. We know them as Jimmy and Dawn Creten. And Jimmy Creten, real quick, man, the bounty hunter, you take a poll of big-time names of monster trucks out there, and bounty hunter, your truck, it seems to always be a top 5. What the hell is it, man? Is it your driving ability? Is it your marketing? Is it that you're a badass? Is it the fact that you have a wonderful wife and family? What is it?
Probably.
Oh, I'm let's go with the latter. You know, it means that she's sitting right here. But be honest with you, sir. I think it's because we built our business from coast to coast, and we've been doing about 50 shows a year since I started back in 1995. And so our trucks normally do not sit in the garage. They're out performing somewhere, mostly in the United States, sometimes out of the United States. And we had a lot of success early in our career by landing Checker, Shucks, and Craig and Auto Parts. And they financed us for many, many years. And we were able to put a lot of good parts on our trucks, and we were able to win early. We did a lot of TV for Monster Jam, and we won a lot of stadium shows. And we just been building our business weekend to weekend, year to year.
It's bonkers. Again, Jimmy and Dawn Creten joining us here in the Freak Nation. It's bonkers when you mention a monster truck show to a 8-year-old, a 15-year-old, even to a 50-year-old, an 80-year-old, because it's the lineage of people have been following you guys for so long. And it's 2 or 3 hours of just taking us away from the madness, watching Jurassic style trucks do Jurassic style things. Right?
That is true. That is true. You know, the monster trucks have evolved, you know, since the 80s. And we're keep coming up with new things to do. Even if you've seen them back in the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s, we're always doing new tricks and you know, trying to go bigger and better. I mean, the trucks are getting better, the technology is getting better, and we can do more things with them. Dawn and I are back to our grassroots where we started. We no longer run for Monster Jam and doing the big stadium stuff. We're doing a few of the big stadium stuff, but we're out promoting our own shows now. And we believe in a little different style of entertainment than Monster Jam. We have I don't think it's all about the monster trucks. We try to bring out all kinds of emotions from our fans, and sometimes that's can range from the thrill of crashing to the thrill of not putting on its edge and putting the truck on its edge and not crashing, to maybe even laughter, you know, and so we have a lot of different elements and different side acts that we try to bring in a lot of different things to make people happy and sad and excited and concerned. And that's what we're doing now. We're back to our grassroots.
So you're basically saying that the 2Xtreme Monster Truck series is a Rorschach test, and you're basically giving it what you want and all the emotions, all the feels out on the dirt. Dawn, I want you to expand on what he was saying with these emotions. What are you doing as an intentional crash to make us laugh or cry, or what are you doing in the cockpit? Because an intentional crash to elicit an emotion, that's a very calculated move, even though it doesn't look like it is from us in the grandstands.
Well, I don't think we ever intentionally crash, but it obviously always happens. Our biggest thing is bringing all of our fans back to us. We have a big following, and we're just really happy that they all come back time after time after time. And we have actually relationships with everyone. We hang out with people at the end of the show. We hang out with people during the show. I'm messaging people during the show that are in the stands.
I tell you, she brings all those emotions out in me, especially when she does crash.
Yeah, he gets mad when I crash.
I laugh. I mean, I'm her biggest fan when she pulls a big trick off, and I'm the saddest when that truck crashes because I know I've got to fix it. So
I'm actually known not to ever crash, and because these guys always crash.
No,
so I've always been more the money maker. They say.
Wait a minute. Well, she had a string going this summer.
No, I did that on purpose.
Crashing every weekend.
I did that on purpose.
Don't let her kid you.
No, so I think a lot of people like watching, not me crashing, but his expression when I crash, because they always know how mad Jimmy's going to be at me and how much I don't care. So it kind of plays a little role in it for me. I feel like people are watching him, put it that way. I don't even think that anyone's eyes are on me the whole time. They're all looking for his face.
But I've got to admit, Jimmy, I've heard you in interviews say that Dawn is faster and Dawn does better tricks, period. Dawn, is he just saying it for the cameras, or is that true?
Dawn's consistent and I don't have a big ego.
Hey.
So I'm not fighting against myself.
I tell you, it doesn't really matter what Dawn does. She's the fan favorite. I mean, I can.
Okay, you'll admit that.
I can go pull off the biggest trick or whatever, and people might come up to say, "Hey, hi Jimmy, where's Dawn?" I mean, it's all about but it is. It's like I've always just told her. I said, Dawn, when you get rich and famous, just don't forget about me, please.
Wow. Dawn Creten and Jimmy Creten, 2Xtreme Racing. I go back with the monster trucks, all of us do, go all the way back to the Bigfoot, and when it would show up at one show and crush cars and so forth. But now that the wheel-to-wheel competition has kind of taken over everything, right? That the 2Xtreme shows have become more than one truck appearing at one venue and competing against each other?
Yeah, there's still those single truck car crushes per se. A lot of times those happen at car dealerships or just displays. You don't see just a single truck too much anymore, not at least at a monster truck show. They'll either range from 4 trucks to, you might see as many as 16 trucks, or the World Finals sometimes has 24. And I think at one time they brought 32. But there's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of really, really good drivers. And I think that we've been able to compete again amongst the best, and we're very proud of that.
What's the ceiling? The ceiling is always breaking. Trucks are doing backflips and the insanity. They go around the arena on the rear wheels and stuff that people said that was impossible to do just a couple of years ago. Is your imagination the only ceiling in this sport?
I think that everything has to evolve in order to survive. Obviously Monster Jam and some of their drivers have really pushed the envelope. They keep inventing new tricks. Tyler Meninga with Monster Jam is amazing. I mean, once I think I've seen it all. I mean, he normally comes up with something new, or Ryan Anderson. And then once we see that it can be done, we all go out and try it, and sometimes we come up with things on, because we're trying them. And sometimes we come up with things on accident, and then, God, I never knew a monster truck could do that. So then we try to do it consistently, and we go out and, practice it at the shows. And, sometimes we'll practice it, maybe in a back field somewhere, but, we get lots of practice doing as many shows as we're doing. And hopefully, we feel like we keep getting better by the week. And but the ceiling, I don't think there is a ceiling. I mean, once I thought there was a ceiling on how far a monster truck could jump or how high one could go, then Todd LeDuc sends it from one end to the other, of a stadium. And Tom Meents, I didn't thought anybody could pull off a double backflip, and then he goes or a front flip clear across the stadium, and it's just I think, but that's good for the business, once we all see it can be done or something, then it expands our horizons basically of what we think we can be doing out there for our fans.
The one thing that I remember, and I've been to, the Speed Freaks have been to a number of shows, but the one thing I remember is a little kid walking with his dad. I think it was in Detroit. And he looked up at his dad and he was just excited. And he said, "Dad, I'm having so much fun." I bet that's your audience, are the little kids who buy into the whole suspend your disbelief of monster trucks and what they do.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing when I'm an outsider looking in is when I see other drivers respond to fans. I'm really picky about that because I picture every one of them as it being their best day ever. And I make sure I talk to every single fan and I make them feel very special. So the biggest thing with that is just all these kids, some of them, that's their gift for the year. That's their Christmas gift. And you always have to remember, we take it for granted because we do a show every single week of our lives. But sometimes people go once a year. This is their big outing. And we try to make it the best day of their life, basically.
Dawn, that brings up another point. Of course, we're talking to Dawn and Jimmy Creten with Scarlet, Bandit, and Bounty Hunter, 2Xtreme Racing, with the 2Xtreme Racing Monster Truck Series going off starting the beginning of 2023. Do not miss it, folks. But you talk about how you're watching other monster truck drivers reacting with fans, I'm assuming via social media or maybe even in person. What about you guys as drivers? You mentioned earlier that you don't have an ego. So do you guys as drivers, when a big feat is accomplished, whether it's Todd LeDuc or whether it's you guys, do you guys text each other and say, "Dude, how did you do that? Can you give me any pointers?" Or, "Hey, I'm working on this and maybe do this to help it be better next time"? Does that exist?
It does. It does. Normally, I don't think it ever happens. I don't know if I've ever got a call where somebody's congratulated me. Well, maybe a couple times, but it normally happens at the show, especially like when we were with Monster Jam. One of the biggest compliments you can get is from an accomplished driver such as Tom or Ryan or something like that, and then where they think whatever you did was cool. That's probably the best feeling in the world, to have one of your colleagues just think you did something that was super neat. And but it normally happens at the show, and not too much us calling each other.
I get a lot of, "Hey Don, how do you put up with Jimmy?" So I don't know, like a couple dozen a year, maybe via email.
She deserves a medal for that.
That's
maybe Melissa LeDuc will text you and say, "Hey, come join me. Let's you and I have a girls' weekend and get away from the boys."
Yeah, all of us would definitely go together somewhere and maybe not come back.
Scarlet, Bandit, Bounty Hunter, Monster Trucks, part of 2Xtreme, the 2Xtreme series, which, by the way, January 7th, Phoenix, Arizona. I understand it's tickets are selling quickly. I'll just leave it at that. Both Jimmy and Dawn joining us here in the Freak Nation, and it's fun to watch relationships. We had Matt and Angie Smith on recently, 6-time NHRA Pro Stock Bike Championship, and Angie, who won the last race at Pomona on the bikes. It's fun to watch the dynamics. Between husband and wife, do you ever carry a race into the house, into the bathroom, into the bedroom, where you just you sleep on that side
the kitchen with the knife?
Do you ever carry that stuff home?
Can I answer this?
Go ahead.
Okay, so when we started the business, Dawn, we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and things were really rocky at first because when she started driving, I thought that I had to tell her everything she was doing wrong. And that just caused a fight, and it did not make her any better. Once I backed off and just started letting her do her own thing, she got good on her own. And then over the years, I became her biggest fan. I really am. I mean, when she wins, I feel really, really good, even if it's beating me. When when we race, some people think, okay, well, I just got to take her down. I must think I got to take her down, or she has to take me down.
Well, we do think that.
Well, not really. I mean, my opinion, when we go to the final round, I mean, one of us got to win, so one of us has to lose. And being a family, I mean, I think whichever one of us wins is a win for the family. So, I mean, I think a lot of times when we go to the final, the pressure's off. It's the pressure is more on me when I'm racing somebody outside the family. But we used to tease a little bit about who gets to sleep on the couch or who has to do the dishes or stuff like that. Truth about it, I don't even know where the kitchen is. Yeah. So and she'll get us. She's like, why don't you fix a meal or two? Well, I don't know where the kitchen is, but I do sleep on the couch occasionally, but it's self-induced. That's probably because I said something bad or something like that, but it's not because I lost the race.
Can we get Dawn's version now?
Yeah.
I feel a little bit opposite. When I'm on the line against him, I feel like I push the pedal a little harder. I don't know why. I think it's because all of my team wants me to win, wants me to beat him so bad because he bosses them around a lot and I don't. So I feel like I'm doing it for them and me. And it's also, I know he's good. So if I beat him, then I know I'm good. So I do like to win.
Explain to the Freak Nation, guys. You talk about there are, of course, other trucks there, and it being a family business, and you got you two running against each other. Who are driving the other two trucks? And listen, bro, you own the damn thing. Why can't you rig it to when you win every freaking time?
Well, there is some of that a little bit. I mean, I probably do have the biggest horsepower motor out there in the group. Mine's been the only one that's been dynoed. And so my fuel is just right on the edge. And that's probably why we work on my stuff the most, because mine leans down once in a while and burns holes in the heads. But so my guys can't you richen it up just a little bit so we don't have to work as hard, but I do probably spend more money on the Bounty Hunter than I do on the other trucks. But we do have a couple other really, really good drivers in the camp. And we've been fortunate our whole career to have a lot of good drivers come our way. It's always sad to see them have to move on in their life, because we've had a lot of really, really good ones, from Craig Christensen to Lindsey Wink, to Austin Minton. There's just been so many really good drivers that came through our camp. But we have a couple good ones now, and they do their share of winning also. And the trucks are all running, most of them are all running big Pontiacs, and they thump. We're very proud that we run a lot of horsepower in our business, and it really shows on the track.
Wow. That's
Pontiac. What's a Pontiac?
Where does the Pontiac come in?
The thump.
Yeah, well, what happened a long time ago is we got started on Chevrolet. Back 28 years ago, Ford parts were, even though we ran Ford Expeditions, they were just there weren't a lot of, they were hard to get a hold of, and they were kind of expensive. So we started on Chevrolet. And then when we started building our motor program, we just went to a kind of a Pontiac head. It's a spread port head. And obviously Chevy bottom, but there's really nothing Chevy or Pontiac in it. Everything's aftermarket. Billet crank shafts. We just went with the best parts that we could possibly buy at the time, and we just got happy with them. And but we've been building big horsepower ever since a couple years into my business.
Can you explain how this works? Where again, it's like the circus, where you guys, 2Xtreme, your series, you pack this thing up and you move to the next small town or mid-sized town or big city town. With all of your
city town?
Hey, how about that? where you
big city town village,
where Scarlet, Bandit, Bounty Hunter, and all of your other trucks, pack up and go. And you guys design the track each and every time you appear. This is a lot in the process that you've got to be a part of. Are you part of everything, Jimmy and Dawn?
Oh, okay. Well, you hit on something that the fans don't get to see. They see the show, the 2 hours, the 2 hour show, but there was a lot goes into that. But yes, we are involved in every aspect now of our shows. We're involved in the marketing. We're involved in the transportation. We're involved in the fixing of the trucks. We're involved of the running of the trucks. We're making the merchandise. We have our own merchandise business where we make our own T-shirts and our own hats. And we have an all access pass where we make all those lanyards and cards. And so our business has grown quite a bit over the years. And we've just recently expanded into two more buildings here on the property. And just because of everything that's going on. So we're involved in the construction of those. And there's just been a lot going on in the last few years. We've had to add more semis and better trailers and more trucks and more ride trucks. We're involved with all of that.
So essentially, you guys are Santa and Mrs. Claus because you have everything going on underneath your roof right now, and you're delivering it to everyone.
Ho, 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 ho.
Merry, merry.
Every day.
Every day.
That is awesome.
Wow.
Has there been a time, Dawn? Dawn, then you can answer this, Jimmy. Dawn Creten, Jimmy Creten joining us here in the Freak Nation. Has there been a time where one of your jumps, one of your landings, one of your flips have been just so dynamic that you said, I got to get my ass out of this truck and rest?
Oh, that happened this year.
He has. He's a lot older than me, though, so he has had that happen.
I had my worst crash this year. Out of the 28 years I've been piloting and bounty hunter, I had my worst crash in Montreal, Canada this year. I hit a backflip ramp with a flat tire, and it didn't rotate, and it went 20 plus feet in the air upside down and landed upside down where obviously there's no suspension. It crushed the cage. I bit the tip of my tongue off. It knocked me silly. They dragged me out through the window and really messed me up for a while. Came back and tried to had a really bad concussion. So went through some therapy and it slowly wore off, and I got back to business. But it was probably the worst crash I've ever had.
Oh,
makes you think about how much longer you can do this. But we as long as Dawn and I can keep moving and doing what we're doing, I don't see an end in sight yet.
That's where I wanted to go with that. How much did you question your future in the sport? Or Dawn, how much did you question him continuing? And you say, hey, I got this, babe. I can take it from here.
For about a half of a show the next time. He was a little careful the next show, and that was about it. And then it was like, oh, I guess we got another 30 years. So
yeah, so it was it really I've thought about it. I've thought about maybe spending a little bit more time in the white collar side of my business and the blue collar side of my business, and putting somebody younger, these young kids that are coming up in the sport. They're really their reflexes and they're better. They're doing a lot. Their minds are open to all the new tricks. They're not closed-minded to certain things. But I still believe that there's that people want to come out and see Dawn and Jimmy Creten, and so we're going to continue to keep doing it as long as we can. I've always told people this, and I guess we're going to go on the air for this. I mean, once you start seeing me, bounty hunters had a lot of evolution of a lot of different body styles and different designs and stuff like that. I think when you start seeing me bring some of my old body styles back and my own the characters and so forth over the years. Once you start seeing that happen, you're probably going to start seeing me back out of the business as far as a driver.
There's a little hint right there. I gotcha.
Well, we spent 3 weeks at home in 2020 alone, and we almost killed each other. So I am not ready to retire.
Yeah, so that is so true.
That was horrible.
As you know, we make our living doing shows, and in 2020 that all went away, and our income came to a complete halt, as with many people, we're sitting there looking at each other. Well, now what do we do? I mean, if that's anything like retirement, we don't want anything to do with it.
It was horrible. Too much time to look at each other and pick out all the flaws.
You get old fast, isn't it?
Yeah, no, can't do it.
Growing out of your ear.
He's looking at my wrinkles. I'm like,
I might have to get an elevator to help me in my truck, but
hey,
but you're going to keep going.
I have my walker going out to my truck, and
I actually feel like we're in better shape than most people half our age. Honestly, yeah. I really do.
The equipment, the safety equipment for the Hans and the structure of the new seats and stuff that we've been running over the last 5 to 7 years has really helped us. I mean, when I started 28 years ago, we were in these nice cushy seats, and those seats would give during the run, and we'd come loose in our seatbelts, and I was always hurt. And I remember trying to drive the semi down the road. My head would be laying on my shoulder, and it would take me. I'd be sitting there trying to get my head up all week long just to get it back straight on Friday. For Saturday, it's sitting back on my shoulder. So I really do. What Dawn said is true. I feel better now than I did back 28 years ago.
That's bonkers.
Because of safety enhancements.
Because of safety enhancements, yes.
And some good supplements I sell.
well, yeah, and the suspension. The suspension is coming.
Oh, don't credit the suspension. Credit the supplements.
Or Dawn supplements.
There you go. Freak Nation, if you follow us on Twitter, I'm sure you do, Facebook or Instagram, we will have the schedule for you. But to share with you, January 7th, Chandler, Arizona, Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park, Mojave, Arizona. January 14th to 15th, they head to Missouri, then Nebraska, and back in, oh my gosh, I could go on and on with the schedule. But again, go to 2XtremeRacingSeries.com, and they spell it kind of funky. That's the letter 2, Xtreme, XTREME, RacingSeries.com. You're right, Crasher. The letter 2, XtremeRacingSeries.com. Guys, hopefully many more times you'll be coming to the Freak Nation and watching you two get after each other like cats and dogs.
Well, we're on our best behavior. So, I mean, I'm sure episode 2 will be a little bit more hair pulling and all that stuff. But we're real excited about coming back to, it's Wild Horse Pass now. I knew it as Firebird Raceway. I used to compete there 3 times a year back when it was Firebird. And it is going to be like a homecoming for us.
And awesome. don't let my quietness fool you. I cracked the whip at this house.
Oh, I could see it in your eyes, Dawn. Yeah. When we turn the cameras off, Jimmy's going to run the hell out of there, man.
You should have said this.
Then all of a sudden I'm ma'am again. That. I'll be back to being ma'am.
That's awesome.
So we can see who's sitting on the throne there, and the other one's on his knee on the floor. So that says a whole lot about what's going to happen when the camera.
Well, Jimmy, Dawn, thank you guys very much for Jimmy, Dawn. Thank you guys very much for joining us here in the Freak Nation. This has been awesome. We look forward to seeing you guys in 2023 out here in Phoenix.
It's great talking to you. Yeah.
Happy holidays to you, okay?
You too.